Hey, everyone. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ron, aka Ron the Artist, coming to you live. And welcome to Ron's Recap. I'm here today to recap and review the TV show Snowfall on FX, Season 5, Episode 5, titled Iliad, Part 1. I had to look up how to pronounce that word, and the meaning of that word. Miss series of a bunch of events, issues. Definitely a good title for the episode. Definitely a good title for the episode. So let's get into it. The episode was really, really good. Like, it had me on the edge of my seats. Like, I don't even know what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen next. How people are going to get out of certain situations and what are they going to do about certain situations before I reveal what's going on. I'm excited for this part 2 of Iliad. I'm excited to see it. Next week's episode. Okay, so let's get into it. The episode started off with Franklin, coming in the real estate office. What a refreshment for him and Veronique, although she was on the phone sealing a deal for a downtown property, a big property, I'm assuming one of a bigger one that they were expecting to change the game for them. Was obtained. The deal was sold and she was sealing it, and they had a mini celebration for it. They had a mini celebration over it as they continue to discuss future plans for them, and what to use that money and what they were going to do with that money. Preferably Veronique. She let it be known that she's going to use that money for them, as in us, to move with. All the stuff she's doing is for her child, her, and Franklin. And Franklin suddenly gave a weird facial expression away from the camera, and I'm just like, this dude does not want to move, if ever. Which would definitely be an issue for her. Did he want to move in the first place? When he told her that, he agreed to that, and he was talking to her about it. Pillow talking, as they call it. Literally pillow talking. Was he serious about it? Maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. But that was also at a point where before his mom came back in the picture. Things are changing and shifting, so it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But honestly, I feel like he definitely should, because stuff is getting chaotic around there. And then again, you're not even supposed to be laid up with her, according to Teddy, aka Teddy Riley, whatever. I don't know. Teddy, I don't even know the man's name anymore. Reed. Teddy Reed. They keep calling him Teddy. Preferably his mom. Franklin's mom must keep referring to him as Teddy. But yet, Teddy has said, now call me Reed. So Franklin's calling him Reed. The group is calling him Reed. But yet still referring to him as Teddy. As a past tense name. A lot. But okay, moving on. Okay, Franklin and Veronique. Again, they went home to Louie and Jerome. Well, they went to Louie and Jerome to see them about investing $10 million into their business, which they gracefully declined to offer. Disappointing and upsetting to Franklin, clearly. They didn't want to invest in his dream, as they somewhat implied to him. They told him they would think about it, but they weren't really trying to do it. As Jerome said, they have their own plans. And $10 million is a lot of money. Especially during that time, that was the 80s? $10 million was a lot of freaking money that went a long ways. That probably, $10 million is, that, I'm just thinking that probably is about a good $50 to $100 million in today's world. $10 million back then, I guess what I'm saying is $10 million in today's world, if you're not doing it right, it's going to go by like that. You're not doing the money right and treating it right, it's going to go by like that. So I say, in their world, that $10 million will be equivalent to $50 million in their world. If you had $10 million in this world, I think it would be equivalent to 50 million in their world. Like, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. All right, moving on. Just, again, like Franklin was upset about it. You know, they implied or kind of gave him false hope that they would invest in his dream, and they're not doing it. So Veronique was like, all right, let's get reinforcements. Maybe she want to hear it. Maybe she should hear it come out of somebody else's mouth. And off she went out. She went off with that plan. So the next scene was Sissy, as who Veronique went to. You know, Franklin's mom. You know, she was meeting with Ruben in a restaurant to discuss business. Ruben is requesting that Sissy gets all the info on Franklin's businesses, such as foreign accounts, overseas accounts, like numbers in his current business. And that didn't sit right with me. He was just like, Ruben was just like, in order for me to help you, I need to know what's going on over there so that I can protect all of that. Not just from Teddy, aka Reed, but from the CIA in general. And Sissy wasn't for it, you know. Sissy wasn't for it. She was like, you know, I'm not sure if that's a good move. Like, she was like, you know, I don't know what company or who you're working for, but at the cost, as bad as I want Teddy out of this picture and out completely, I'm not going to do it at the cost of my son. And I commend her so much for that. I commend her so much for saying that. You know, I'm feeling like as well, that's a setup or that's too much information. Like, why the hell do you need to know if this woman is the one paying you and coming to you about getting rid of Teddy? What does that have to do with her son and his businesses? That's definitely something I feel like is very fishy and probably doesn't need to be trusted. And I'm not sure if that's a good move. That man is wanting to know too much info. Sissy, again, she checked him, letting him know that she wasn't for it. You know, at the risk of her son. You know, where she wasn't for it, she's not about to screw her son over. But he persisted and told her if she can't help him, if he needs all the information to be able to help her. In spite of the trust issues, he knows that she barely knows him, but he needs that info. And again, I'm like, I don't believe that is accurate. I don't believe that that's accurate. Okay, so next up, Franklin met up with Teddy, aka Reed, for a drop to discuss business until a random van pulled up on them for a shootout, a drive-by, like, oh wee, a shootout. Ultimately taking one of Franklin's dudes out, instantly, like, pow, instantly took him out. Teddy was shot, but managed to get away in Gustavo's car. Gustavo got shot while him and Franklin got into his car to escape, and Franklin's car to escape, barely making it out. Franklin had to hit the van with the car in order to get away, which caused his car to overheat as he sped away. Like, a lot. And money was involved with that too. $3 million in that transaction, along with coke. A drop. It was a real deal drop exchange. There was a lot going on at that moment when that drive-by happened. And too much. Too much. You know, they drove off. Barely making it. Franklin had, you know, to hit the van again, which caused it to overheat as they sped away. They were eventually able to get to a safe spot after patching up Gustavo quickly with this bullet in his arm. They had to leave, the car behind with no bullets, plus $3 million in cash in a bag, 2 bags, while walking in gang territory. In a territory that's not theirs. Yikes. I was like, oh my God, risque. Teddy was bleeding like crazy. Onto Teddy. Teddy, as he got away, was bleeding like crazy. As he drove away, barely making it as well. Like, literally, he barely making it as he's driving with one hand. Driving with one hand in extreme pain until he pulled over to take a hit of coke in the trunk to relieve or ease the pain as he bled to get back to driving away. Like, like gushing out blood, like a lot of it. And I'm just like, whoa, like stuff is real this episode. It got real this episode. Back to Franklin and Gustavo. Stop to a water hose to attempt to get some blood off them, you know, so they can get to a payphone, you know, and look, you know, presentable at least, you know, so they can call for help, which they eventually found near. They found a phone near a Spanish restaurant to page Jerome and Louis. As Jerome and Louis were at a restaurant, revisiting the conversation about investing with Veronique and Franklin, but the conversation was with Veronique and Sissy this time. And stuff got real after that. You know, Jerome was able to sneak away from the convo to, you know, enter the page where someone was on the phone hogging it, talking like nobody's business on the payphone. Franklin even paged Leon, but he also was slightly occupied in a debate. Jerome forced the dude off the phone to finally call Franklin back. As he did, the plot thickened. Because not only were some Hispanic gangsters, some young Hispanic thug gangsters, pulling up on them, rolling up on Franklin and Gustavo, but there was also a drive-by being made on Louis and Jerome outside, causing many innocent people to get hurt and shot. All happening at the same time. Literally, these Hispanics dudes pulling up on them, walking up on them, and Louis and Jerome getting shot at outside the restaurant on the payphone. And I was like, before Franklin could give him an exact location, he told him what area he was in, but he couldn't give him an exact location about whereabouts because too much was going on both ends, and it's just sticky. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is really going down. Like what is happening here? What is happening? What is happening? So the young little gangster, the young little gangsters then started to harass Gustavo and Franklin, inquiring about what was in their bags. You know, the young teens were at their necks. You know, they eventually peeped it. They said it was money and tried to jack him for it. $3 million. Again, that was no. Tried to jack him for it. Then Franklin pulled out a gun, scaring most of them away. But the leader remained, standing his ground like, I'm no scary kid, I'm about it. That's when some more / older gangsters came out of that restaurant to see what was up, and they all chased Franklin and Gustavo up the street. Just wow. Shaking my head. I'm just like, wow. Like, what was the odds of that? Like, they couldn't even call backup. Like, efficiently because everybody is being shot at. Everybody is, like, being on the hunt. They, like, being hunted down, and this definitely was strategic. Strategic as I don't know what. So, back to Louis and Jerome's scene, as they collected themselves with Sissy and Veronique, they tried to get away as someone lay there dead, shot, before the cops came. They didn't quite get away. They didn't quite succeed at that as they slightly got down the street. Louis and Jerome gave their guns to Veronique, and moments later, the cops pulled up on them with guns drawn, forcing them to get in position with their hands on their heads. Like, they just walking away. You pull up on them with guns drawn on them as if they did it. The shooting. Didn't even know what was going on. Just pulled up on them. Stop. Put your hands up. Put your hands on the head and to get in position. And I'm just like, that is not what's up. It's not what's up. That was not what's up. All of them. Sissy and Veronique as well. So, while that was happening, Franklin and Gustavo are still running for their lives from these thugs with millions of dollars on them. Like, that is the irony of it all, because they have millions of dollars on them. Wow. Like, wow. Meanwhile, Teddy has the coke stash. Like, both of them have so much product where it's like, a lot, an issue. Just willy-nilly with it, out there with it too. So that again, they're running for their lives with all this money on them. You know, they was able to cut a few corners and jumped a few gates, losing the gang with seconds to spare. And they hid under someone's house with like a mini door and a open lock, thankfully. While Jerome was being patted down and harassed by the cops that wanted to search the girls, but they played the crying game. Veronique preferably playing the crying game, and since he pulled the pregnant card, like she's pregnant, Louis told them to called her CIA friend in a hood-like accent, like, oh, can you call my friend? He said we get in trouble calling him, da-da-da-da-da. Just played it off so well, and it worked in their favor. Worked in their favor. And police was like, you better not be lying. And she's like, I'm not. And sure enough, they had to call Buckley. It worked. It was brilliant. Now, that scene was funny, too. Like, how... It was funny how she gave that little hood-like accent. Like, man. Okay, so next up to Teddy, apparently making his way to an old friend after breaking in her house while she was out on a jog, as he practically bled to death on her kitchen floor. She found him laid out in her kitchen. She was about to call the ambulance until he stopped her and asked her to remove the bullet. She negotiated, like, I'm not cheap. $250,000 to help you. With a little bit of torture. She went to the hospital to get some supplies. I'm assuming she works there. She's a nurse. Sidebar, she called him Thomas. So that hint that they know each other from the past or something of the sort. The history with each other. So on to Leon. He finally was able to get to his pager. You know, kept calling the payphone back, finally responding to the 911 that Franklin sent, but it was too late. No answer. And at that moment, I'm like, I wonder if he's being targeted as well, since the other two have been targeted. Like, what is going on? So, eventually him and the gang just went up to, they got a call about Javi, as I referred to in my last vlog, the weapon god. I didn't know his name. It wasn't on Google, but his name is Javi. Javi, the weapon guy, fulfilled Leon's request, brought him the weapons, like bombs, shooting bombs, told Javi he no longer needed them. Leon told Javi he no longer needed them. Instead, he wanted more gunpowder. Javi told him that those bombs didn't have receipts. They didn't come with receipts. And Leon persisted, like, yeah, I know, but I don't need them anymore. As Javi turned to give his men an order, probably to shoot at them, that's when they all suddenly got in a drive-by They all got in a drive-by by moving car. Javi and his peoples, and, Leon and his peoples. But the difference between that situation and the other two that went to drive-bys is that car was outnumbered. Javi had about a good 3-4 men. It was probably like a good 4 or 5 people with Leon as well. So it was gang on a little 3-4 people probably in that damn car doing that little drive-by. Gang. Like it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. Outnumbered all the way. So they ended up shooting down the car ultimately, getting one of them out. Shooting one of them and killing him out, and as he fell out the car dead, that left Leon stunned. They pulled off his mask and did not recall, they didn't recall who did what or who the guy was. So, a lot. It was given a lot. On to Franklin and Gustavo, back to them. They were bonded underneath the house in the dirt. Franklin revealed Veronique's pregnant, and along with worrying just about his family at the moment. Meanwhile, they decided to get out of their hiding spot leaving their money behind. Leaving their money behind to get to the payphone. Smart. They left it under the house and deep under the house where nobody saw it. Smart. Ultimately, Buckley, the CIA, he was able to get Jerome, Louis, and others off the hook. But Jerome had a few words for him on the way out. Jerome wants Buckley's head on a platter at this point. He started the disrespect from Buckley coming up, at the shop whenever he wants to, or the club whenever he wants to. Tired of him, like, with the drug bust he did. He's tired of him just with the shenanigans he pulled. Tired. Like, it's like, come see me. When you ain't got this badge, you ain't hiding behind it. You so coked out, I got you. Buckley definitely gonna get his one day soon. I'm sure of it. Somehow, someway, he's gonna get it. Next up, the nurse. The nurse that was helping Teddy get his bullet out. She had this weird fantasy going on. She was removing the damn bullet out of his damn arm or his chest. She removed it from his chest. She was telling him about a man going down on her after she knocked his teeth out. Oh, well, Teddy was half conscious. Teddy was half conscious, and she started fingering herself after she got it out. Just nasty. Like, just nasty. Nasty. Like, what? So, back to Franklin. Franklin and Gustavo, they end up breaking into someone's house to use a phone, which didn't go so well. I don't understand. Why didn't they just not knock at somebody's house or something? Why did y'all have to break in somebody's house? Go in somebody's house unwillingly. Because you don't know what you're walking into, and that's a crime as well. So Franklin and Gustavo broke into someone's house to use their phone. Didn't go so well. Little did they know they went into the wrong person's house. Someone who stuffs living creatures as a sport. As a sport. Stuffing the living creatures. And the creatures were still in his house. So as they went for the phone, not realizing that someone was home, they were shot by stun guns, knocking them completely out cold while threatening to stuff Gustavo because Franklin was too skinny. Hilarious. Back to the nurse with Teddy. The nurse that removed Teddy's bullet, she wanted to move his car due to having bullets in the car in her driveway. She's like, this is not the neighborhood that you have that car and looking like that. This is too noticeable. And it needs to be moved. It needs to be moved. So she got his keys out of his pocket, went to move the car. I have no idea why she went in the car just looking around, because she found his stash of coke in the trunk. And kind of was mesmerized by it a little bit too. Like, oh, I might be able to do something with this. Like, girl, what do you own? Like, why did you even go in his car looking around? If you was going to move it, just move it. What is she going to do? That woman's trouble. She's going to be a problem. So, to Leon. Leon finally met up with Jerome and Louis to discuss details of the drive-by and figuring out the pattern that they all was targeted, of course. They all targeted, and, still haven't heard back from Franklin since. Louis and the gang started to make sense of what was going on and who might be responsible for this. She kept thinking Peaches possibly was behind it, and they end up ultimately Jerome and Leon ended up coming to a conclusion that it might be some strippers that were off or not working that day. So they went to their peoples to get down and to see who did what. And she was just like, Louis was like, oh, don't X out Peaches. See what's up, because stuff was weird. That was weird. So lastly, back to Franklin. He finally woke up out of the unconsciousness stage he was in, and he woke up in a cage next to Gustavo with a tiger across from them in another cage. Him and Gustavo were about to be tiger food. Like, no. I'm just like, wow. Are you kidding me? About to be tiger food. fatten up that tiger just to probably stuff the tiger as well. Like, too much, too much, too much. That man is like a real deal bounty hunter or whatever. Just weird. And like, he could have called the police or whatever, just asked what y'all need or why y'all in my house, whatever. And he just shot him, which by law, you can do that by somebody entering your house. To my knowledge. Let me not quote that. Yeah. He's really about to feed them to a tiger. Oh my God, I don't know what's gonna happen next episode. It was a good episode. It was a lot of cliffhangers again, like from Teddy getting the bullet removed from the drive-by and in 3 different locations, taking place at 3 different moments. Meanwhile, landed them all in different situations after the fact. Landed them all in different situations. Leon was the only one that kind of came out on top of the drive-by. Meanwhile, Louie and Jerome, Veronique and Sissy, they were kind of prone to it. You know, they were kind of prone to it and almost all got in the system to it. Meanwhile, Gustavo and Franklin are still fighting it off. And then that gang's still searching for them, I'm sure. Like, just too much. So, what's to happen now? I can't wait for next week. I'm intrigued by the show. I'm intrigued. So, next week it is, guys. It's your boy Ron, a.k.a. Ron the Artist. And yet, if you're watching this right now, we are live on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, it is pre-recorded and it's been taken from Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, please comment, like, subscribe, or share this video. Let me know how I did. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let's talk about the review recap. If you're on Instagram, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the episode. Let's talk about the recap review. Let's talk about it. Because it was a good episode. All right. That's all I got for you guys. Until next week, it is, guys. Peace.